Good Saturday morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing. Looking at our fire potential impacts for today, we have widespread wind concerns combined with low humidity stretching from a good portion of northern and western Nevada through the south and into a good portion of Utah as well. Big changes though. Cold front coming through will produce much cooler temperatures along with higher humidity for at least the northern half of the geographic area on Sunday. Still critical wind and humidity concerns across the far southeast, across that portion of eastern Utah down to the south and across parts of the Arizona Strip. And finally, things should calm down on Monday where we have no significant fire weather concerns. Precipitation over the past 24 hours. Just some light scatterings of precipitation. Some of these are just echoes that didn't reach the ground. Occasional few lightning strikes up here in the far north where fuels are quite wet. Our recent fire activity, new fires in the red circles, existing fires or recent fires in the yellow. So you can see a pickup day by day of some of these fires. Most of these are just a handful of acres to a few dozen acres. Exceptions were across western Nevada and across central Utah. Observed precipitation over the past 7 days. On the left, you can see most of it was up in the mountains of central Idaho, otherwise been bone dry. And pay no attention to the top. This isn't the past 30 days. This is the percent of normal precipitation over the past 7 days. So you can see this dark red area. Most areas are between 0 and 5% of normal precipitation. So we've had a very dry week. And that is reflected on the fuels. The ERCs, which have been going up steadily all week long, are at critical levels where you see areas here in the very shades of red and especially the purple, which are 97th percentile to record dry fuels for this date. Even here in northern Nevada, northwest Nevada, ERCs have crept up into the yellow, and some of the dormant grasses from last season, some of the drying grasses from this year are playing a role. We can see that ERCs across parts of the Uinta Basin are at record levels as well as across southeastern Utah. Live fuel moisture as well in some of these areas in the southeast Utah, for example, are well below normal and paralleling record levels. Similar story down here across the mountains of central Utah, record levels. And even up here, there's a little pocket outside of Boise here, which has not received much precipitation in the last several weeks, different from areas further north and east. And their live fuel moisture is, again, record dry as well. That's why we're starting to see an uptick in some smaller fires up that ways. Satellite imagery does show deep low pressure now pushing down from the Gulf of Alaska, and these tight height lines you see here packed in will be producing increasing winds across the off the Sierra front into portions of western Nevada and into a good portion of Utah as well. Strong cold front here. We see the enhanced clouds along and behind it, much cooler temperatures, clouds, and scattered showers. So for later this afternoon, there is that front coming through, and there'll be some clouds around, some showers possibly pushing into parts of Idaho. But ahead of this front, in this drier air in the orange, and even outside of the Sierra front as well, where they'll have some downslope drying, we have concerns for wind and low humidity for this afternoon. This is part of a larger area that extends down into Arizona, New Mexico, and into Colorado as well. And you can see why with those winds. Areas here in the purple will see wind gusts approaching 50 miles per hour. In these different shades of red here, anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour, a widespread wind event. You can almost pick out that wind shift where you'll have southwest winds kicking over to westerly winds. This is that front. You can see the humidity levels start coming up in the north, but off the Sierra front and into southern and central Utah, bone dry, single-digit relative humidity. Now on Sunday, that front pushes on through, so some dry air aloft. There'll be some cooler air to the north. You can see how much these fire potential boxes have gone into the green and yellow in a lot of these areas, but we still have high risk for wind in the far eastern and southern areas, which will stay ahead of the front. They'll stay in the dry, warm air with the strong winds one more day. You can see those winds here still in the orange and red. Gusts between 25 and 35 miles per hour down here. Humidity, you can see it in these southern eastern areas, still critical, upper single digits to low teens, as well as across Nevada, but coming up significantly in the northern two-thirds of the geographic area. Now on Monday, no significant issues. We have what we call zonal flow west to east. We're under neither high nor low pressure, so seasonable conditions, but still some lingering high humidity levels. Instead of being down into the single digits and teens here, we're in the 20s, 25 to 30%. but still dry down in the south. You can see winds here fairly light, except for parts of the Snake River Valley. Some of those winds will be gusting to over 35 to 40, but they'll be with much higher humidity. Precipitation over the next 3 days stays confined across the higher terrain of Idaho and maybe parts of southwest Idaho, otherwise dry. And then going down the road for Tuesday, still zonal flow, no significant issues. Start to see a trough of low pressure developing here on Wednesday. Thursday, we start drying out finally. We'll have seasonably warm, dry days, so you can see some of these greens turn back to yellow through here, also into southern Idaho as well. We'll be watching some moisture possibly returning from the south here, and you can see that by Friday, this little green blob here, this could be the leading edge of some thunderstorm activity. Cooler with maybe some showers across the Ruby Mountains into parts of Idaho, but we'll probably have some wind ahead of this. So again, the possibility, if this map does continue as it's shown here with the models, maybe the possibility for high risk with southwest winds across parts of southern Nevada and Utah, and maybe even some lightning concerns as we close out the week. 7-day precipitation totals, not much different. And the 8 to 14-day outlook shows above normal temperatures, but also shows a wetter than normal signal. This could be the developing stage of some monsoonal moisture. We could possibly see some lightning entering our southern areas, which are quite dry, so that will be a concern in the long term. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.